How would you grade the U.S. on teacher training for gifted and high potential students?
This is an F. I think this is a national embarrassment. We should be ashamed. If this wasn't a family show, I'd use stronger language for it. I think less than 6 states now require any coursework when you're becoming a teacher, educational leader in advanced learning. We know how to do this in almost any setting better than what you're currently doing. We could really help your students. Many of these strategies don't cost any more money. We can do this. We just need to think differently about this.
Welcome to From Classroom to Campus. High grades, advanced courses, impressive resumes. On paper, our highest achieving students look college ready, but many are quietly struggling once they get there. Today, we're digging into why college success isn't working for high achieving students and how to fix it. My guest is Dr. Jonathan Plucker, a nationally recognized author and expert on talent development and the excellence gap. He's here to challenge how we define readiness and who we're unintentionally leaving behind. I'm your host, Philip Bates, and helping us keep on track is our wonderful producer, Megan Blessing. Good to see you, Megan.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you.
All right, Jonathan. Well, first off, we've been trying to do this for a while, and I'm super happy that we finally made it work.
Yes, I'm very happy to be here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation, Phil.
I think what's so cool is the listeners right now that don't know who you are going to hopefully do some research. You've had an unbelievable career. I mean, you've done a lot of great things, from helping education policy to publishing a ton of things to just being, I think, one of the big influencers, not only in the topic of study that you've committed to, but just in general for education. So I'm just excited for people to hear what you have to say today.
That's very nice of you to say. And thank you for noticing. But I think I have the best job in the world. I get to sit around like literally every day and just think about ways we can help kids, teachers, families, community members take things to the next level, which is challenging. It's often difficult and frustrating, but every day is different. And when you really see it work in a community, it's the most fulfilling thing ever. And so I'm really excited to be able to talk about some of that work today.
Awesome. Well, that's the big purpose of the podcast is, I want educators to listen and really either ponder something they haven't thought about, or even better yet, maybe implement something in their classroom that they've heard. So anything we can talk about that's connected to them and things that they can put in place immediately is wonderful. All right, so let's dive in. I'm going to provide you with some statements, and you're going to respond with myth, mindset, or it depends. All right. Statement number 1, college success is primarily determined by high school GPA.
It depends. The research would generally tell you that a high school GPA is pretty predictive. But the thing I always caution people with, these are huge studies, with some cases hundreds of thousands, millions of students. It describes everyone generally, no one specifically. Right? And so there are plenty of exceptions to this. We see it at Johns Hopkins. We've seen it at every university where I've been lucky enough to work. Yes, students come in with amazing high school GPAs, undergraduate GPAs, and they do amazing things. But it's not rare at all for a student who was really finding themselves at high school, at the college level when they first get there, to sort of figure it out over time. Yeah. And any system of education that's going to be long-term successful has to have the flexibility to handle that. So yes, in general, true-ish, but not true for everybody, hardly.
Yeah, I'm with you. It depends. You've probably seen the studies out there about valedictorians. And valedictorians they typically aren't as high earners as maybe somebody who was ranked 5th in the class, 6th in the class, 7th in the class. I always think that's kind of fascinating how that transforms into actuality, being number one in your high school class?
If you do well in high school, are you probably going to do well in life?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Are you guaranteed to do extremely well in life? Hardly. That's not how life works. Like, life throws curveballs at you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just luck, good or bad. And sometimes it's just some people can handle some of those curveballs really well. Others can't. Some people get opportunities that other people don't get, which I'm sure we're going to talk about a lot today. And those things all add up to a life. We could also talk through a series of podcasts about defining what life success is about.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a broad-based approach to it is probably smart. But yeah, no, if you do well in high school, odds are you're going to do well in college. At the same time, someone who struggled in high school, knowing that doesn't tell me enough to know about that person's talent level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's well said. All right. High achieving students will find their way to success without intentional guidance.
I'm going to vacillate between myth and it depends.
Okay.
Again, the research generally would say that very high achieving students will, on average, be high achieving in college, will be high achieving in graduate school, will be high achieving in life. Very, very generally, though. At the same time, the myth that like a third grade talented student is going to be fine on their own, that's silly. And we would never say that about any other area of human development. Like, well, they're a really good natural athlete, so we're not going to coach them. What? No, they have so much potential to be a talented singer or a talented visual artist. They're going to figure it out on their own, just doing what everybody else does. That totally flies in the face of common sense. And yet I run into that attitude constantly from people, which is just, they're fine. What? No. Like the third grade student who's ready to take sixth grade math, or the seventh grade student who's ready to take calculus. Those students are in our schools much more than people think. Just to sit back and think that they're going to figure it out on their own without any extra support, it would be a miracle if that happened, right? So I think I'm actually talking myself in. I'm going to withdraw my previous response, Phil, and I'm going to go with mostly a myth.
Yeah. I'm with you. I had a coach one time tell me, and I should have probably recognized why he was telling me this: talent doesn't replace coaching. And I think that's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Next statement: early access to advanced learning determines long-term academic success.
Determines is the word that I keep getting stuck on.
Yeah.
I would say it really helps with future long-term success. Does it determine it? I think life throwing you curveballs. I'm not sure it's definitive, but in general, the more opportunity students have for access to advanced learning, the better they're going to do the rest of their lives learning.
Yeah.
And they're going to be much more motivated, right?
Absolutely. Access matters. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. As I often tell people, to me, the more we study this, the more we work with school districts and families and students and teachers, talent development is an opportunity game. It's about providing as much opportunity as you can. At least in this country, we really artificially restrict opportunities for any form of advanced education and talent development. And we're making judgments as the adults in the room about who should walk through those gates. We are truly gatekeepers. And yet we've got plenty of studies now where people kind of get rid of the gate, or they really open the gate wide, and they're sometimes like downright shocked at how many students can handle advanced opportunities, how many students really crave them, but they're just not getting them. In some states, it's 2 to 3% of students get those advanced opportunities. We know the number is probably at least five to 10 times that who would benefit. And so just opportunity. I think that's really the name of the game here.
Yeah, absolutely. Some students simply aren't college material.
That's garbage.
Hey, all right.
That's garbage. Who, right? Whenever I hear someone say something like that, I always think, okay, you go into this high school and you go around and you tell them to their face that they're not college material. Let's see how that goes for you, right? I just think back to people that I went to college with. Even when they were in college, it was hard to figure out if they were going to be successful. Many of them left, came back a year later, having learned some life lessons, and were stunningly successful. No one would have called them stunningly successful when they first got to college. Like, everyone has a different path. There's not like a stopwatch on this. Okay, by the time you're 22, you need to be able to do blah, blah, blah. That is not how life works. That is not how life works.
Yeah, that's garbage and for sure mindset, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Schools should prioritize remediation before acceleration.
This is a myth. And my response whenever I hear someone say something like that, and you run into this more than you would think, I think, in schools, is, okay, why? Just explain to me why. Every student, even our brightest students, even our highest performing students, have areas that they need to work on. That's technically remediation. What do you do with the twice exceptional student who may have, a severe dyslexia, but is incredibly spatially talented? Do we just focus on the dyslexia and ignore this enormous strength that most students, quite frankly, don't have? Those are all thinly veiled examples of students that I have taught, right? And if we're looking at the whole child, I just don't see how you can have this either or mentality. And you know what? This country put people on the moon using 1960s technology. And you're telling me that we can't figure out how to walk and chew gum at the same time. That always really frustrates me. American exceptionalism is real, I think. We can do hard things. I think being able to help students with their weaknesses and build those up, and also help them develop their strengths at the same time, is not beyond us. If it is, then the country has bigger problems, I think. So I think it's very doable.
Yeah. Limiting either of those things is wrong. I mean, that's the bottom line. All right. Well, thanks for going through this with me. So let's jump into things. You spent up much of your career studying talent development and the excellence gap. What drew you to this work?
Like everything in life, a lot of different things, probably. I think I was always a pretty bored student in school, even through many of my undergraduate courses. Content wasn't that challenging. I wasn't being asked to think deeply about things. And it did always, even as a younger student, it always surprised me, why isn't this not more challenging? Why is this not harder? And that was true for lots of my friends too. Again, it's not 1 or 2%. It's a lot of our students could go a lot faster, a lot deeper. And then, when I was an elementary school teacher briefly, you just saw these students, and there was so much talent there, and it just wasn't a concern for people. I remember taking my undergraduate educational psychology course, and we talked about talent for about 15 minutes. And then we moved on. And I remember sitting in the back of the big hall thinking, wait, is there like a part 2 to this? What?
That's
it? No, strategies, no, here's what advanced learning can look like for people. Here's like the benefits of it. It was just clearly something they were checking off that they had to talk about. And then we went off. We took plenty of courses in like special education, like standalone courses, course after course, which was absolutely the right thing to do. But 15 minutes on advanced learning struck me as weird. And then to get into the public schools and see that all of my colleagues had very little training on it. So the fact that I had 15 minutes made me an expert to some of them because they had none. And that's when I thought, if I ever go back and get a PhD or something, this is something we should probably be focusing on more. Anyone who tells me that they don't think developing talent is important, I always think, okay, how did you choose your doctor? How did you choose a lawyer? How did you choose someone to fix your car after you had that unfortunate accident? You went out and tried to find the best, most talented person you could. You tried to find the best coach for your kid's soccer team. Like, talent matters to us every day in so many ways. Why is it just not discussed in schools? It was a weird incongruity, if you will, that I've never been able to wrap my head around. And yet when you talk to people like this about it, so many of them go, oh, yeah, of course. But it's just not a conversation that's right in front of people. And so that's kind of been my driving passion for it. Yeah. Some would say I've been charging this windmill for a long time now, but I think we are starting to see some success around the country in various states. So it's also, like I said, very, very fulfilling work.
Good. Yeah, I agree with you. And I had the same, when I went to teacher school, same thing. We had plenty of special education, plenty on how to teach reading, how to teach math, but really looking at talent and how to support that wasn't a thing. But I agree with you. Things have gotten a lot better.
And they have. And I mean, in fairness to people 20 or 30 years ago, we didn't know nearly as much as we know now.
Sure.
We know so much more than people realize about how to do this effectively, efficiently, equitably. Like, we are so much better at this. We need to get that information and knowledge into the hands of educational leaders, teachers, professors, everybody. And I think we're making progress there.
Yeah, absolutely. So UWorld, our podcast partner, we build AP content, we build essay, ACT content, and ultimately all those things are trying to basically help students from the academic skill side of things. So my question is in addition to those academic skills, those experiences around academia, what do you feel like students need to succeed after high school? What skills do they need for that journey?
Let me start at a sort of a foundational level, and then we can work up. Drive, motivation, grit. There's 1,000 different terms for it. In my lived experience, that's the difference between people who see a problem and go, someone should solve that, and those who look at it and go, I'm going to solve that problem. The second group tends to be more successful. They become leaders. They become community leaders, industry leaders, etc. Thought leaders. So like the drive to solve problems and be successful. Like being ambitious has become a bit of a dirty word in our society. Oh, they're so ambitious. Good. Right? Like, I want my surgeon to be very ambitious, to be the best surgeon in the world. Like, awesome. But yeah, that like drive is really important. I think writing and speaking ability is incredibly foundational. I was talking to a future graduate student earlier today coming into our program, wonderful technical skills, asked about what other skills they should be working on. And I think I surprised him a little bit because I said writing. Like in any field, if you can write, it's a material advantage to you. I know like professional portrait painters who are really good writers. It gives them a huge leg up. They can write their own advertising copy. They can write and read their own contracts. They can write their own marketing materials. Writing is such a key skill, and public speaking is also a very key skill.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yep.
Not everyone is built for it. I get that. If you had seen me 30 years ago, you would have said, this guy's never going to be able to do public speaking. My stutter alone would have made it very, very difficult. So like I tell people, the best way to get better at writing and speaking is to get better at writing and speaking. Practice. And it's going to be a train wreck sometimes, and it's not going to work. Learn from it. Go right back out there, get right back on that horse and do it again. So definitely like writing, public speaking, being able to persuade with the written word, the spoken word is, again, that's a huge leg up to you, no matter what you're doing in life. And then I think all of that, Phil, sort of funnels into sort of leadership skills, like, getting opportunities to learn to be a good leader, which involves ethics, management, efficiency, being able to balance your checking account every month, just like staying on top of things and being conscientious like that. All that we know feeds into long-term effective leadership. So, I mean, off the top of my head, those are like,
those are all great
things I think really, really matter long-term for people. And of course, I kind of started talking about problem solving, but like creativity.
You're right.
Coming into any situation. Like, I have colleagues who I love to meet with. I will always make time for them. Because even if I need their help with a very mundane, straightforward task, at least half the time, they're going to come back to me with a way to do it I would have never thought of that is so much better than what I would have done. There is always a huge value add for someone who's willing to take that different perspective. People really value that.
So some of these things you're bringing up, I think it's easy to see how teachers get overwhelmed. Because if you're a teacher listening to you, you're going, oh my gosh, I need to encourage, I need to, teach writing, I need to give students opportunity for public speaking, I need to give them feedback when they're public speaking. How does a teacher not get overwhelmed with all these critical things that students need to learn and be proficient at before they reach that next level?
That's a very fair question. And we have been tackling this one for years. In fact, it's not uncommon for teachers to come to us, college professors too, and say, okay, I think I finally have the space, resources to really address creativity with my students. I'm finally at a point in my career where I can, overhaul everything so that I can do this. And my first question to them always is, why do you think you have to overhaul everything? The fact that you're coming to me tells me that you're already probably doing 75% of what you should be doing. It's just putting some simple systems and frameworks in place so that it's easier for you to do it and so that students can see that you're being intentional about it. There's a concept that we talk about within creativity and problem solving called creative articulation. And the whole idea there is to get students to realize that creating their creative product is not the end of the process. You do have a lot of say over how potential audiences view your work. And, a picture's worth 1,000 words, or let your work speak for itself. That has never been true in human history. Michelangelo was a fantastic promoter of his own work. Martha Graham was a fantastic promoter of her approach to dance and why her modern approach was so much better. The Impressionists, whom I love, they were all master promoters of their own work as they fought against convention, right? So creative articulation, we know, is a common characteristic of almost every long-term creative producer. You say that to teachers and they go, oh, I'll never be able to do that. And I was like, how often do you have students do creative work? Well, yeah, we do it here, we do it there. And I'm like, great, that's fine. You don't need to do more. Every once in a while, have students, or again, provide students with the opportunity to pitch the idea back to you. It may be a better project than you think it is. It doesn't have to be every single project. I totally agree. Teachers do not have time for that.
Right.
Every third or fourth project, make sure students are having the opportunity to share with their peers or community members or just you as the teacher. Mm-hmm. This is why I did what I did with this project. This is why I think it's good.
Yeah.
90% of the time, the teacher's going to go, yeah, I know. 10% of the time, that's not what's going to happen. You don't need to overhaul everything.
Yeah.
Just little tiny tweaks here and there. You can help students develop these, skills. Another really important one. Helping students learn how to present is not that hard. Lots of teachers are very, very good at it. You do have to provide lots of opportunity, which gets challenging, of course. How often do we ever teach students how to give constructive criticism, though?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right? We focus so much on the student presenting in the front of the room that we forget that the student sitting there listening, this is a golden learning opportunity for them
to learn as well. Yep.
Right? Have them learn at the same time. It's going to make them a better presenter, and they're going to learn how to give good constructive criticism. Yeah. To learn the difference between criticizing and critiquing.
Right.
Like to help people find the weaknesses in their argument in a non-confrontational way, but also to laud the strengths. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take extra time, right? Because you're still doing the same activity. You just have to structure it a little bit differently so that everyone is learning on both sides of it.
One thing I love, and I think it's a really good model for anybody listening, you're not saying make students do this. You're not saying have students do this. You're constantly using the term give them opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think that if anybody's listening right now, that's how you speak to students. We're giving you the opportunity to show this. We're giving you the opportunity to present this. That kind of struck me as you've been talking. I think another thing is if a teacher, like you said, is reflecting on what more can they be doing, the first thing you say is, hey, the fact that you're thinking about what more you can be doing tells me that you're probably doing a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's really, really powerful. So you've written extensively about the excellence gap. For listeners unfamiliar with that term, what does it mean and why does it matter for long-term student success?
It was in the early No Child Left Behind era, and everyone was talking about achievement gaps. And again, I take more of a developmental lifespan approach to these things. So the whole gap idea struck me as a little bit sour.
Negative.
I was like, oh man, no, this isn't the way to handle it. And then I went to all these policy meetings where all they talked about were the things that they were going to do to shrink achievement gaps. And I thought, oh, okay, I don't like it, but it's a pretty powerful concept. It's absolutely working. Talented students were never part of those achievement gap discussions. It was all about close the gaps by getting everyone to grade level. And my first thought was, statistically, that will not close gaps.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're helping everybody move up, they're generally going to move up at the same rate and pace, generally. So the gaps are still going to be there. So closing the gaps 100% is very hard, if not impossible. But then I also thought, well, there are huge achievement gaps in who performs at excellent levels too. Like the percentage of low income students who score advanced on tests is much lower than it should be. And there's a lot of talent there. They're just not getting those opportunities. So what if we sort of repackaged the idea of achievement gaps and talked about top-end achievement gaps? And then, could that help us change the dialogue here between getting students to grade level versus how many students can we get performing at the most excellent levels? Mm-hmm. Whatever that percentage is in this country, I've always believed it could be 2 to 3 times higher. I will tell you that we did the first couple of reports. We did a bunch of conference things. We did lots of press conferences. And for 3 years, no one could have possibly cared less about excellence gaps. It was just crickets everywhere for years. And I was
good
like,
ideas
wow.
have to evolve, right?
Well, that's kind of what happened, is that about 3 years into it, a colleague pulled me aside, a very senior colleague, and said, I was just in Oklahoma, and the state school chief pulled me aside and asked me about this excellence gap stuff. And then I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, right? And then maybe 2 months after that, I was in the U.S. Department of Ed, walking around doing some policy work. And I noticed someone walking down the hallway with a copy of our first excellence gap report in their hand. And then slowly, ever so slowly, we heard people talking about it more and more and more and more. We started to learn more about strategies that help close those gaps. And it really did start to take off. If it got 5% more of educators in this country thinking more about how we equitably, efficiently, successfully implement talent development, advanced learning, then that's a bigger impact than, Jonathan growing up in Oakdale, Connecticut ever thought that he would have. I'm excited about it. I'm excited that people are still talking about it. I'm excited that people are still studying it, trying to come up with ways to sort of close these gaps. We're not nearly where we need to be, but I think we're getting pretty close there, Phil. So
yeah, absolutely.
That became a self-contained TED Talk. Sorry about that. But it's still obviously very, very excited about it, even though our first paper on this was 2010. So it has been a while now.
I think it was slightly ahead of its time, but man, it's got staying ability. That's how I look at it. Every day, educators work tirelessly to keep high school students motivated. But despite their best efforts, too many students still feel lost in a system that doesn't always support their success. At UWorld, we believe education is about unlocking a future full of possibilities. That's why our team of educators created teaching and learning tools for the advanced placement exams. Powerful, easy-to-use resources that help students master even the most challenging concepts. Content that features dynamic visuals created by world-class artists and interactive elements that spark curiosity and a love for learning. Our mission is to help every student reach their full potential. Whether that means earning valuable college credit by excelling on AP exams or achieving their dream SAT score, UWorld is here every step of the way. Every day, across the country, students are using UWorld to turn their aspirations into reality. Discover how UWorld can help your students succeed. Visit collegereadiness.uworld.com to learn more. All right, this will be fun. So you're going to give the U.S. an A through F grade in the following areas. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Talent identification.
Talent identification, I'm going to go B+.
All right. Access to advanced learning.
It's very spotty. In some aspects of American society, I say it's an A+++. In others, I'd say it's an F. So I'm going to average us out to a C, which is probably the median. We can do so much better, even in those districts that are actually doing it well, or communities. So I'll go with the C.
Okay. Support for first generation college students.
I'm going to say a B.
Okay.
Compared to when I was in school, where it was just tough luck if you were a first generation college student. I really think that my colleagues across the country have done a much better job with this. There's lots of really good supports in place for them. Could we do better? Absolutely. But I think a B is fair.
I think the grit and the determination of the first generation college student is being appreciated and championed now. I don't know. That's my 2 cents on that. Creativity and critical thinking development.
I'm going to go D. It's not that it's not happening. It's that hypothetical teacher that we were talking about earlier, who is doing some of it, but doesn't really know why they're doing it. And with just a little bit more help could really blow the doors off their students' creativity. So it's happening, again, in fits and starts. But again, we know so much more now than we did 20 or 30 years ago about how to do it so well. It's just not making it into classrooms, communities, organizations.
So is that a product of we got to teach it better at teacher school at the university level? Is that a product of we need to embrace it better at the local level? Is that a combination of both those things?
Both, more the former.
All right. Teacher training for gifted and high potential students.
That's why I didn't comment more on the last comment. I knew this one was coming. This is an F. I think this is a national embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
And if this wasn't a family show, I'd use stronger language for it. We should be ashamed. I think less than 6 states now require any coursework when you're becoming a teacher, educational leader in advanced learning.
Yeah.
And we've had people in some of those states tell us, I never had that course. I never had any coursework on that. So this isn't that hard. It's stunning to me that we put people into classrooms where we know on average they're going to have a grade level readiness span of anywhere from 4 to 9 grade levels is not uncommon in this country. And we're not preparing them to work specifically with, in some cases, up to half of those students. Mm-hmm. And then we are shocked, I tell you, that young people get into these classrooms and go, this is not for me. I think we've gotten better at helping people learn to differentiate down to help get students up to grade level. Differentiation up, I think in most of the country is still just a black box. And that is unfair to students. It's unfair to teachers. It's unfair to principals. I think part of it is just a bias against advanced education within prep programs. That's not a huge secret. We should be embarrassed that we're doing such a poor job with this.
Sure. I think, if you ask an educator to define rigor, I think a lot of teachers struggle with defining that word, and and the fact that you can't define that word definitely means you're struggling to create opportunities of rigor for all of your students. So I don't disagree with that grade at all. It's sad because you're right. It's all right there. I mean, we've got the research to back up. It's not hard. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we have so many strategies in that advanced learning toolbox that we can help teachers access, right? So let's say you've got a 4th grader who comes in and you're looking at them and you go, wow, they're really good at math, writing, whatever. And you go, wow, I wonder how far above grade level they are. We have plenty of ways to look at that, right? Let's look at it. Let's look at what they did last year. Let's give them some sample harder problems from 6th grade to play around with and see how they do. Let's give them some 9th grade writing prompts and see how they respond. If the evidence is really positive, there is no harm in saying, okay, we're either going to try cluster grouping, within class grouping, between class grouping, single subject acceleration, of which there are multiple types. Like, we have literally dozens of different strategies. Do they need a slightly different curriculum because our current curriculum isn't really differentiating for them enough? All right, then let's go out and find that. Not that hard to do anymore, right? Things are so available to us. Yeah. I just don't think most people realize that toolbox has gotten really full in the past 10 to 15 years. And yet when you help teachers learn it, they get so excited, right? Yeah. Because they're like, wow, I know how to do this. This actually isn't all that hard. Why do they have to stumble across it 5 years into their career? Like, that's just not fair to teachers. And so we have got to get this turned around. It is such an obvious and obviously solvable problem to me. And it does feel like charging windmills. It's so hard to get people to even talk about it. So I'm glad we're talking about it here.
I'll shift our thinking a little bit and shift our focus here. So AP courses, they promote creativity, critical thinking, academic confidence. How do you see the role of those advanced coursework playing in the long-term success of students? How does AP benefit students moving forward into college?
The brain is a muscle, right? And you either exercise that muscle or it's or it's not as strong as it could be. And we want students challenging their preconceived notions about things. We want them learning new things. We want them learning. I think the most important part for me about creativity is that it really forces you to take the knowledge you have and scramble it around in your brain a little bit and see it in different ways and use it in different ways. We know that that's long-term valuable for students. And if coursework is truly challenging, you are going to fail occasionally. And we need to build that into the system so that it's okay to reach for the stars and miss sometimes without being punished. And if we do that, I think we're teaching a lot of motivation and ambition at the same time. And I think it is motivating in those courses to be around like-minded peers who also want to be challenged. We tend to downplay that. But if you're a really smart kid who's interested in a certain type of coding or rocketry or whatever, and maybe you're in classes with other people with those interests, maybe you're not. You can go into some AP and IB courses and you are going to be in courses with people who share those interests. It can really light a fire on you from what we see. So I think that's another really, really big plus.
Yeah. How should schools balance supporting struggling students and while also nurturing high potential learners from all backgrounds?
It's probably the most controversial thing I say. I think and I don't call it ability grouping. I call it readiness grouping. Who knows what a student's true ability is? I don't know. But I can tell you how ready they are for certain material. And so I think we should have readiness grouping at every single level. And the beauty about that is it doesn't cost any more and it's no harder than what we're currently doing. If anything, it's easier because you are taking those huge grade level readiness bands and you're shrinking them down a little bit for teachers. So now instead of having to differentiate 3 grades down and 4 grades up, maybe they have to just differentiate 3 grades total. Teachers can do that with just a little bit of training even. I think it's just a much better way to do it. And it also helps that twice exceptional student who may need certain supports and help, but then can also thrive because they're learning at their sort of natural challenge level. That's how they're going to continue to grow rather than falling between the cracks of a sort of complex system, which I fear happens to lots of them now.
Absolutely. What gives you hope that we can move forward in a more equitable, talent-focused education system?
Blind, naive optimism, probably. I joke, but there's a lot of truth in that, I think. What was Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote? The moral arc of the universe bends towards justice or something similar. I kind of feel that way about recognizing people's strengths, which is actually one way how I've interpreted what he was trying to say. But like he also followed that quote by saying something like, but you have to bend it. Like it doesn't, it doesn't bend for you. Like we have to go out and make those
things happen. Yeah.
We have to charge these windmills, even if it gets super frustrating. I feel like we are entering, and I think we've been here for 3 or 4 years-ish, where attitude about focusing more on advanced education is improving. It tends to poll a lot better. It tends to poll very, very positively now, actually. We're seeing lots of states do very pro-advanced education, pro-talent development policies. They're not calling them that, but that's what they're doing. I would say automatic enrollment, especially, is a great example. About 10 to 12 states are doing it now, where if you perform well based on certain indicators in a specific content area, say in 4th grade, in 5th grade, you're automatically placed in advanced coursework the following year. Does it impact, millions of students? No. But it really seems to put a lot more students in who are just being overlooked. It's putting them into that coursework, especially getting them access to advanced math much earlier than they would have had it. I think we're going to look back on this in 10, 15 years, and everyone's going to scratch their head and say, why did math achievement increase so much in some of these states? I will bet a lot of money that it's because of automatic enrollment policies. I think we're seeing a lot of this bubbling up across the country. My concern, it's not very well coordinated. It's a little too grassrootsy, which means it's going to be very, very patchy. That's the only thing. That's the only thing, keeping me from jumping up and down and saying, no, we've got this. And I guess the only other thing I would add to that is, I mean it when I say we have learned so much in the past 10 to 15 years. Like 20 years ago, it would have driven me crazy, but to hear a principal or superintendent say, oh, this is advanced learning stuff, it's just so complicated, no one knows what to do, I would have pushed back a little bit, but they were kind of right. Like we weren't really sure what worked best. If someone says that now, it's like, no.
Yeah.
We know how to do this in almost any setting better than what you're currently doing. Like we can really help your students. Many of these strategies don't cost any more money. Like we can do this. We just need to think differently about this. The fact that we're so well armed with data and like really good field tested strategies is probably the reason why at least I keep getting up every day and charging that windmill.
Absolutely. Hey, we covered a lot. We missed anything?
We did cover a lot. Holy smokes.
It was great, man. You have such a great mind for education. And I feel like, and I feel like today you gave us some really good things that we could take into a classroom tomorrow and start implementing and thinking about. And hopefully we get those letter grades up, right? We have some low ones.
Well, and that's the frustration, right? Is that anyone where I gave a low grade and you agreed with me, we actually know how to do it really well.
Right.
And I think that's why my grades were so harsh in a couple of those areas, is that there is no excuse for it not to be at least an A-, if not an A+. We've just chosen not to do that.
Sure. Let's
choose to do it. I'm willing to bet it's transformative for this country. But I'm biased, or else I wouldn't be doing this, right? So,
Well, Megan, you've been listening in. Any questions for Jonathan?
I do. Hi, Jonathan.
Hello, Megan.
It's so great to finally get together with you. I have 2 questions for you. And the first one I have is, you mentioned that writing is such a key skill for students to have for life after high school. How do you think AI will affect the need for this skill and others post-high school?
That is a fantastic question. It's something I am very, very passionate about. If we'd had this conversation a month ago, I finished writing an essay that I'm happy to send to anyone who contacts me that where I'm really pessimistic about it. I'm becoming more optimistic. I'm not optimistic. I'm becoming more optimistic about this. I don't think most people realize the extent to which AI has replaced student writing at almost every single level. It is pervasive. It's a huge problem. And we're already starting to see lots of students at every level who, when they can't use AI, are struggling to write a sentence. I think the problem is almost apocalyptically bad at this point. Like, it has gotten that far. At the same time, we're hearing more and more about students who are realizing that they've fallen into this trap and are taking control of it themselves, saying, it's a 2-page paper.
Yeah.
I don't need AI to do this. I mean, we have to regulate it. We have to regulate it. And so one, I think it's not a prediction. It's bad already for writing, unquestionably. Studies are coming out now saying it's really bad for critical thinking because when you're writing, you're learning how to critically think, right? So it is demonstrably, factually bad. Could it be good? Of course, like any technological tool could be good.
Sure.
The argument to me that we shouldn't regulate it to help focus more on the good, the basic argument is if we regulate it, the Chinese won't, and they're going to dominate this industry. I got news for you. They're probably already going to dominate the industry. Putting that aside, that ignores that the Chinese regulate how it's used with their students. Now, yes, some of it is for political reasons. I'm in no way endorsing that. But also because they don't want things like social media and AI to get away from them, quite frankly, the way they think it's gotten away from us.
Yeah.
So they're being very careful about how they use it internally. Externally, they have no problem with TikTok doing what it's doing. They have no problem with AI replacing Americans' writing skills, right? I think sort of a similar nuanced framework where we regulate how AI is used internally, like in schools and things like that, when creative industries, so that it's not just in a huge IP theft ring. We can do that and still really have these bazillion-dollar data centers doing cutting-edge work, creating the next level of AI. So for that reason, the fact that we're seeing our competitors be a little smarter about things like regulation, it does give me hope.
Okay, we're going to end with a bang. What is one key thing our listeners can do in their classrooms tomorrow to decrease the excellence gap and create more equitable learning opportunities?
I get this question more from a creativity perspective. So I would like to close by answering it as though you asked about creativity. In terms of the excellence gap, I would say, again, opportunity. Children are not snowflakes, but we always act like they are. Children are resilient. With our help and guidance, they can become even more so. And I give you a very quick example. I will often talk to people and they'll say, well, we could try single subject acceleration for this student, but what if it doesn't work? And my response is, if it doesn't work, go back to what you're currently doing. The student will forget about it the next day. You're not scarring the student for life. These are very much low risk interventions.
Yes.
If it's a fourth grader, have them do fifth grade math. If it works, everyone's going to think you're a genius, right?
Yes.
If it doesn't work, okay, is it a curriculum issue? Is it a support issue? Yeah. Maybe everyone was wrong and they really are a fourth grade math student. Okay, great. You've learned something new. No one's been hurt at all. Yeah. The odds are it's going to work, though. The studies tell us it's going to work. So again, opportunity. Stop artificially, I almost said artificially scarcifying, which I'm pretty sure is
That's
not
interesting
a
term.
real English phrase.
Kids are bendy. I agree with you.
Yeah, so it's just try it. What we're finding in some states that have automatic enrollment is that people are shocked at the percentage of students who can handle advanced math. In part because we've kind of lowered the rigor level for everybody. Yeah. And then in part, a lot more students can handle advanced work than people think. Let's let them try. So again, opportunity. I know people are sick of hearing me say it. I'm not stopping. It's about opportunity. For creativity, what I generally tell people is modeling. Other than someone's family or caregivers, the adult that they spend the most time with is an elementary school teacher or their teachers in middle school and high school collectively. You are incredibly important role models for those students, even if you don't think you are. Be a really positive role model creatively. If you have a creative hobby, come in and talk to them about it. Yeah. If you're a mediocre amateur painter, bring it in. Say, hey, look, I painted this. I'm not very good, but I'm trying to get better. What do you guys think? Right? Like, model it however you can, being a problem solver. So modeling is the first, and opportunity again. Give students opportunity to try things out, come at things from different perspectives, and then that whole creative articulation piece, I think, is something you can do tomorrow, which is have students explain their work more to you. I think that's really, really critically important. That's all stuff that you can start doing tomorrow.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for the time. I mean, we went through so many different topics and you were super patient with us, and I just enjoyed every minute of it. So really appreciate you.
This was a lot of fun. I get to talk about pieces of this work. It's kind of rare where we can have sort of a broader conversation of how it all sort of fits together. And thanks for all the work that you guys do too.
Jonathan, where can we reach you? Like if people want to follow you, learn more about you?
If you just Google me and Johns Hopkins, all of my contact information pops up. People can feel free to reach out to me. I have a Substack newsletter. If you just search for Jonathan Plucker's newsletter on Substack, it should pop right up. You're going to get lots of dad jokes if you subscribe to that. But there's also lots of content about education and public policy, and specifically education policy, advanced education policy. And if you Google the National Research Center for Advanced Education, it will come right up. And that is our new federally funded center, where we are really trying to do what I talked about before, which is learn a lot more, but then get all the stuff that we've learned out into people's hands, educators, families, communities' hands, so that all this great knowledge that we've created is actually being used to make people's lives better. So that's probably the easiest way to do it. But if you have any questions about any of that, just email me. It's very easy to find my Hopkins email address.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for your tuning in today. We really appreciate you. Hey, like, subscribe. If you've got suggestions for, folks that we should have on our podcast or topics you would like us to cover, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Hey, educators out there, keep on pushing your students hard. Remember that life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. Take care, everybody. The opinions expressed by our guests and hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views from Classroom to Campus, UWorld, or its affiliates. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please remember to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating. That really helps us out. Thank you so much.